story. Okay. So when I first decided to create today's session, right, as part 5 or day 5 of the high ticket offer challenge, I know that one of the biggest things that's going to hold you back from selling your high ticket offer is your personal money story. I once had a mentor tell me that you can't sell from your client's pocket, meaning that you can't assume what your client has to, available to them, resources. But I would say to add on to that, you also can't sell if your money story is messed up. Okay. To use a clean phrase. So if your money story is messed up and you have issues with receiving money, keeping money, giving money, if you have any issues or any baggage around that, it's going to be really difficult for you to actually sell your high ticket offer and sell it with consistency. There's something to be said about, beginner's luck, like getting out there and, actually doing it and like, oh, I did it. And then what typically happens is like our patterns come back in. So it's easy enough to like push through and make something happen, maybe once, maybe twice. But if you've tried selling high ticket and maybe you sold it once, but you just couldn't, keep that up, or if you still haven't sold high ticket, there's usually something that's going on. That's your money story. That is what needs to be dealt with. And so that's what we're going to be talking a little bit more about today. Because the way that you handle money, let's go to this, the way you handle money can be influenced by what you learned about money as you were growing up. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to get really clear on why money works the way it currently works for you. So this is an exercise that you'll do on your own. Once again, these are the worksheets from the Create Your High Ticket Offer Challenge. If you're not registered already, go to LaTisha.tv and I'll email you a copy of these of this workbook in just a couple of hours. Okay. All right. First thing, what did you learn about money as a child by watching and listening to your mother? Think of any experiences, choices, rules, common statements, complaints, attitudes, fears. And then same thing, second question, from listening to your father. Okay. Now, the reason that this is important, and this also applies to you if you did not grow up with a mother, if you didn't grow up with a father, if you didn't know your biological parents, like this also still affects you, because in general, we have a mothering type figure in our life, and we also have a fathering type figure in our life who embodies the femininity, masculinity, et cetera, et cetera. So, regardless of whether you grew up with your mother, your biological mother, your father, your biological father, whether you had 2 dads, 2 moms, like whatever, generally you have a mothering type figure and a fathering type figure, right? And so when you think about the conversations that you had with your mother about money, what were those conversations? And this is important, and we'll talk about why in just a second. But I remember conversations that I had with my mom often said, go ask your dad, right? Go ask your father, go ask your dad, whenever I would ask about money. And then a lot of times the question was, do you have blank money? So if I said something like, I want to go to Disney World, the question was, do you have Disney World money? And so my story with money was always either your dad has it, so either the man has it, you have to go and ask someone else for it, not you have it, or either you have to have that money earmarked already, like you have to have it saved, you have to have it put aside, and you have to have it earmarked for that thing before you can spend on it. Now, and there's nothing wrong or negative about those statements and the conversations that happen. But what it did was it influenced the way that I chose to handle money growing up. And I didn't even realize that that was the way that I was handling money until I went through this exercise myself and I started paying attention to some of the things that I was doing and thinking back to those stories. Also, similar thing, like conversations that I had with my dad, and also, simply the way that I was reacting to money made me start thinking about those things, especially as an entrepreneur, being ready to invest, but maybe hesitant. Some of that came from watching my dad and, businesses that he started or wanted to start and things like that. And I really respect him. And so I mimicked him. Like, that's what we do growing up, is we look at our parents, our parenting figures, and we tend to mimic them. The reason that this is important is because if you don't recognize that you're mimicking your mother figure, father figure, and you keep wondering, like, why is my money like this? Well, now you have the opportunity to make a change because you're conscious about it. You weren't conscious about it before. Okay. Let me go back to the comments. Hey, Mary. Yeah. Super excited to have you here. Tolu is here. Mary's joining us also for the kickoff call. Very excited. I would have, but with love, though, with love, it's about Mary J. Meredith is joining us for the kickoff call. Don't worry, I got y'all. I know that, I know that we all wanted to be sitting down. Like I said, Mary J is performing. I think Eminem is performing. Who else did they bring up? I think there's a rapper also performing. I just saw Mary J and I was like, all right, I'm in. So that's what I was excited about. All right. Maya says, mine was always the man has it, and that I don't have to, and I don't have it, since they'd always ask, do you have XX money? Yeah, that was absolutely me as well. Or, unless you were specifically writing what I said, because that's exactly what I said. Hey, LV. Okay, good. So that's going to be the first part of understanding your money story, what's called your money story. And then the second half of this is to describe, if money were your partner / spouse, describe that relationship. Let's say you're in a relationship with money, and we're going to refer to money as him / her. How do you feel about him? What do you think about him? What makes you mad, sad? What brings you happiness about this relationship? This is generally an exercise that can cause a little bit of emotions, because if we were to really think about our money story, especially me. So if I'm going back in time to when I first decided to get my money story right, get my money right, this was 2015, 16, like when I started my business. And I remember being in tears because I was like, money doesn't like me. It tends to leave me. It doesn't stay. Excuse me. And so this was a very eye-opening exercise for me. So I do want you to take some time as you go through this exercise. Remember, this is how money currently works for you. It doesn't have to stay this way, which is what we're going to be talking about more. All right. And then finally, in summary, what are your conclusions about how money works based on what you learned from your mother, your father, and based on your current relationship with money? What stories have you brought from the past into today that either match and or contribute to your current financial circumstances? Okay. Now, when I, once again, when I did this exercise, one of the things that I realized is that I only wanted to make money because I wanted to rebel against anything that someone told me that I should do. And this was a tearful moment for me as well, because I was also doing some tapping and some EFT as I started working through these things. And I remember I was told, don't do tapping in your car. But I was like, well, this is the time I have. I was on my way to CrossFit. And so I was, just started tapping. If you're not familiar with EFT, it essentially helps you tap into emotions that are stored in your tissues, which is a very interesting topic. Definitely go research it if you're not familiar with it. And so I started tapping on, the little tap points, which, there's some here, there's some here. And then I was doing this thing and like, I'm driving. So I'm like driving and I'm like going like this and, tapping on the different areas. And I realized that I was determined to make money because I was rebelling against the idea that I couldn't do it, that I couldn't succeed. And I remember as I'm going through the tapping process, you think about what it's currently like for you, or what you fear, something like that. And then like what it's currently like for you, and then what it can be for you. And I started saying the statements about what it can be for me. And I was like, I don't have to make rebellious money. And I just started like crying. Once again, it releases the emotions, pent up emotions. It's a really, really cool technique. And I started crying, and like, I'm in the car, I'm at a stoplight, I'm crying, I'm trying to get like the tears out of my eyes. Once again, don't tap while you're driving. Definitely don't recommend it. But I remember that moment because once again, it was like at that moment in time that I realized that because of my past history with my parents and just the way that we interacted, it was affecting my current money story. And I was like, I'm ready to let this go. Like, I don't need to make money to prove anything to anybody. I'm going to make money just because I'm worthy. And that's also another story for another day. I've done a lot in terms of working on my own money story. And so I know how powerful it can be, which is why I'm bringing this to you for our day 5 of the challenge. Okay. So as you get through that and as you start thinking through that and doing this exercise, you'll come to a lot of different realizations about not only how money works for you now, but also how you want it to work for you. You might get a little frustrated. You might get a little upset. There's no need to get upset at your father, your mother, people who you've had interactions with, because it's actually not their fault. Because you have the opportunity to decide. You are in the driver's seat of your life. And so you can always decide to accept, reject, and move on. And that's essentially what you're doing right now. So it's not your mother's fault. It's not your father's fault. What your money story, it's like, it's your own fault. But now that you're aware, you can consciously make the decision to release the story that you saw played out in their life. You can release the story that you needed to hang on to because you actually don't need it. Remember what we said yesterday, it doesn't serve you. And actually, I meant to bring that up. So let me bring that up one more time. So what we talked about once again from day 4 is your belief system is what's going to determine if you can sell a high ticket package. Regardless of what you're selling, the price point, it's always going to come back to your beliefs. And your beliefs are just thoughts that you continue to think. When you continue to think a thought, it becomes a belief. Your beliefs influence your actions. We often only take actions based on what we believe. Because if you didn't believe it, why would you take an action to do it? You'd be like, well, that's not important, or I don't believe that this action should happen. And then that also influences our results. Your actions influence your results. So the easiest way to influence your results is to just change your thoughts. And if a belief doesn't serve you, you have the ability to change that thought. Okay, so that's what we established in day 4. And now that you know that you can do that, you can now take action to get specific on these thoughts, the money thoughts. You can also do this in other areas of your life. Any area of your life that you'd like to change, whether it's your relationship status, your health, your well-being, your wealth, or whatever it is, you can examine the stories that are playing out in that area of your life. For me, for example, right now I'm really examining the stories that are in my my eating habits. And I think I have a similar like rebellious type of story because like I tend to keep taking the same action, and it's not because I actually want, like, I actually don't want to eat a whole Reese's candy, but I'm doing it because I'm like, well, so and so said I couldn't do it or I shouldn't do it or whatever it is. And so I probably need to do some tapping around there just to be transparent with you guys. All right, cool. So are we good on this? We good on this? We good on this? Let's go to chat. Danielle says, this makes perfect sense. I was taught to fear and avoid money because we didn't have enough, right? Which seems so ridiculous when you actually think about it, right? If you don't have enough of something, what is there to fear, right? What is there to fear? Because it's actually not there. So it, like, if you actually like break it down to its core, a lot of times what you realize is like, oh, this is just so silly. And, if you've seen the Harry Potter movie where they do the show your biggest fear and then like laugh at it, that's essentially what we're doing here. Is like, we're looking at that fear, we're looking at that, the previous money story, and then we're like, I don't need that. And so therefore, poof, be gone. Okay. All right. Yes. Eminem, Snoop Dogg. Yes. That's what I'm saying. Kendrick Lamar and Dr. Dre, Mary J. Like, this is about to be hype. I'm so excited. If money was a man, I'd be all over that. Hashtag facts. Which Jacinda said right after it, right? Okay, good. All right. Hey, Dana. How are you? Yeah, ridiculous. That was it. I'm a Harry Potter geek too. I tried to watch the recent reunion show that was on HBO, but I think I was just too bored with it. All right, where are we? Okay, good. Let's keep moving. This is going to be one of the longer sessions, obviously, because I normally do about an hour for our Saturday calls, but it's perfect. It actually works really well. So let's go back to our worksheets. Once again, if you are just joining and you're like, where are these worksheets? How can I get access to them? This is also day 5 of our Create Your High Ticket Offer Challenge. So if you'd like the workbook and you'd like to participate in the challenge, go to latisha.tv/challenge. And I will email you a copy of these in just a couple of hours. If you happen to watch this late and you're like, oh, she said she was going to email it, I email it out twice a day. So day 6, I'll also email the day 6 worksheets along with everything else. Okay. All right. So now let's cover how to create a new money story, right? The truth is, at any moment, you can change your thoughts about money, which influences your beliefs, which changes your actions, and by extension, your results. So in this exercise, you'll establish how crap. You'll establish how you want money to work for you from this moment on. I'm glad I'm doing this because I'm finding some typos here and there. All right. 1, how does money work for the person who makes consistent high ticket sales? So you don't even have to think about yourself yet, but let's imagine the person who makes consistent high ticket sales where they're just like, they get on the phone, they're like, it's $10,000, $25,000, and those are just like streaming in. How does money work for them? All right, answer that. Then next thing we need to do, because I know this because of my audience and because of some of the generational conversations that have been had about money, I want you to also answer this question, which is, who else benefits when your money story matches the statements you wrote above? Who else benefits when your money story matches the statements you wrote above? And the reason that I share this is, for the longest time, I actually thought that my dad would be upset or jealous if I made more money than he ever made in a year. And the crazy thing is like, I never knew how much he made. I never knew what his salary was. I never knew what his income was. All I knew was that he took great care of us as a family. We not only had never wanted for food, we were also able to buy a house in Georgia several years ago where there used to actually be reasonable prices. And sometimes we went on vacations. Like, he took us to Disney World. We went to Hershey Park. Like, we had I had a great childhood, but I never knew how much he made. But for some reason, I had this underlying belief that if I made, and I think the number in my head was like 70,000 in a year. I was like, if I make 70,000 in a year, like, for some reason, he's going to be jealous of me, right? Because it'll be more than he made in a year. Once again, ridiculous. I don't even know how much he made, but it was like it wasn't until I looked at that statement and realized how ridiculous it was that I actually surpassed 70,000 in a year. And it's really funny. And this is not from like a salary standpoint. This is from like how much I was making gross in my business. 2 years in a row, I made 65-ish one year, and then the next year was like 68. And I remember like looking at those numbers and being like, why isn't anything changing? And it wasn't until I looked at my money story. As soon as I looked at my money story, the very next year I made 6 figures. So it was like, this is so important. Okay. It's not just, what's my offer? Who's my ideal client, which is important, but your money story makes a big difference, because once again, sorry, I hit the wrong button. Once again, your beliefs about money influence your thoughts about money, influence your beliefs, which will change your actions. Your beliefs influence your actions, And then, oh, there's another one I just missed. Your results. I need to like just make notes about these because I don't feel like changing them, but if you be interested in doing this in like a live in-person workshop, let me know, because I'm thinking of doing this as a live in-person workshop. I think it'd be really cool to actually expand this out and like not just have just 1 hour to work on this, but maybe like a whole half day or 2 day type event. All right, let's move into actually pulling together your high ticket offer. Okay, we're going to go over high ticket offer must-haves. And let's go to the comments really quick and make sure that we're good. Davina says, I had to come to realize that our parents only passed on what they knew exactly, which was the fear money. Yep, they're only going to pass on to you what they know. And what's great about that is that we have the opportunity to not only surpass what our parents have done, but to show them that not only did we learn from them, but we've added on to that as well. Okay. Hey, Heike. Glad to have you here on your self-care walk. Glad you're putting that into practice. Welcome, Efadza. I'm hoping that I'm saying that correct. Beautiful name. Okay, great. Yeah, like I said, we've got there's 7 days in this high ticket challenge, but I think it would lend itself really well to like a full 7 hours plus. So that would be like a 2-day workshop. I think that would be cool. Okay, we're getting yeses. I think you guys are north, like DMV area. Might have to come to Atlanta. No, it wasn't. It was just me hitting the wrong button. Okay, good. Mary says, I have been dealing with my money story, but not really delving like I should. Yeah. Change your money story, change your life. All right. Okay, good. All right. So let's go into the rest of this, which is your high ticket offer must-haves. Okay. There's only 4 things that you need for a high ticket offer. Hey, Cammie. Glad to have you here. All right. You need, number 1, a compelling outcome. Okay. And this is the outcome or transformation that the client can expect to experience by the end of the offer. All right. If your transformation takes 3 years, your offer should be 3 years long. And some of you are like, oh my gosh, a 3-year offer. So if that's the case, maybe you can help them get a specific, you need to dial it down a little bit and give a specific offer, right? That you can handle in 8 weeks or a year. Okay. Second, a clear description. So what should the client expect to receive? How many phone calls? Do they get a workbook? Do they have access to via instant message? None of these things are required, but the key is to be explicit with what's included. Okay. Next, a benefit-driven name. The name of your offer should also communicate the benefits. If you're having a hard time, use thesaurus.com to find other options for common words so your offer can stand out. Choose clarity over cutesy. And finally, an expansive price. The investment for your high ticket offer is the first transformational step for your client, for you as well, though. And so the price is meant to be a statement in and of itself. It's a call to greatness for your ideal client. All right. So I put little check boxes beside here because I want you to be able to check each of these off as you're creating your high ticket offer. And all you're going to do here is you're going to fill in the outcome of your offer, your description, the name, and the expansive price. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in just a second. And then I've also given you a worksheet so you can describe the outcome of each session. So if you've got, 4 sessions, then you'll just use the first 4. I think I put 14 in here. So, if you're weekly, that's a 14 week. If you're monthly, that's enough for you to do, 1 for each month, however you'd like to do it. Okay. All right. Good. We're moving through this well. We've got 2 more pages. So we're going to go to some of the comments. I actually almost hosted an event in Savannah and then I didn't. That's it. Long story short. So a money story, great question, Tanya. A money story is basically if you were to read a book about your financial situation, that is your money story. So if your financial situation is money comes, but it doesn't stay, there's never enough money, money is stressful, then if someone's reading a book about your financial situation, that's your money story. And you, at any point in time, you can change your money story by doing some of these things that we shared in the exercises. Once again, these worksheets are inside of the Create Your High Ticket Challenge, Create Your High Ticket Offer Challenge, and you can go to latisha.tv/challenge in order to get going. Hey, Rachel. Glad to have you here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, you are very welcome. Okay, good. We're making good time. So let's talk about getting resourceful. All right. Now, I always feel like I need to add this, especially when we start talking about money and you start putting your expansive price on your high ticket offer. A lot of times, for some of you who have already started to try to make sales of your high ticket offer, some of the things that you'll hear are, that's too much. I don't have the money. You know, do you have anything cheaper? Whatever it is. Okay. Now, I want you to think about someone who goes to goes on a luxury shopping trip. So let's assume that they're going to doing some shopping at Dior, right? Do you imagine that person that walks into the store, picks up a bag, and then says, oh, this is too much? No, because they expect it. They know that the prices are going to be a certain tier, and they know even walking into the store, like what the price is going to be for them to walk out with an item. And often the problem is, let me turn this off for just a second. Often the problem is that selling a high ticket offer, we don't place it at the same value as a Chanel bag or as a Louis Vuitton bag or Hermes bag or whatever it is. Like, we don't give it the same type of value because we're like, well, you know, that's something that someone can hold and then they'll look at it over and over again. But you know what's more valuable than something that you can hold on your arm or something that you can take a cute picture with is actual transformation, like saving your marriage, right? Meeting the love of your life, getting in the best shape of your life, being able to create cash on demand. Like, those things are much more valuable than what you can do with, you know, a couple $1,000s, which is nothing to take away from buying luxury items. Like, I'm not saying anything bad about that or that it's less. All I'm saying is that if you don't see your high ticket offer as valuable, that means you don't really understand the value of what you're actually delivering. You're not delivering phone calls. You're not delivering check-ins. You're delivering a transformational service. Okay. And that's part of what's important to understand, is that your outcome and what you're actually delivering to your client is what's valuable. Okay. Along with your time. All right. And so a lot of times the statement that someone might make is like, oh, you know, I don't know if I have the money. Generally, it's more about a sales issue, which we're not going to go into so much on this session. But let's assume that it really is just because of the money. Well, what I've included in here is a way to help a client get resourceful, because even when clients immediately know what they want and they know they need your offer, they don't always immediately know how they're going to fund the investment. This is their very first time making this purchase. So in this exercise, you're going to learn a few options to help clients get resourceful. And what I've done is I put the source on the left and then the level of difficulty, scoring it from 1 to 5, with 5 being the most difficult. And difficult meaning how quickly you can access those funds and how difficult it is to actually go. All right. So current lines of open credit, that's fairly easy. Like, do you have a, open line, like open credit card or something that you can use, open line of credit? Unused lines of credit. So maybe you have a card that you've never used before, or something that, you opened it, but you just don't use it. Do you have that? Money and savings accounts. You have a savings account or something that you already have lying aside. Okay. So these are level difficulty 1. And this is helping that client get resourceful. And that's the first level difficulty. All right. Then we're going to move on to something that's a little bit more difficult, which might be money in retirement or investing accounts. The reason this is more difficult is because maybe you have to sell some stock. Maybe you have to put in paperwork to borrow, and then you've got to wait till those funds come through. I had a client who did this exact same thing. She was like, hey, I've got money I'm pulling out of one of my retirement accounts because I know it's important to work with you. It's going to be coming in a couple of days. I just wanted to give you an update and let you know. Please hold my spot. So I said, okay, great. All right. Level 3, new lines of credit. I put this as a 3 because the person may or may not get approved, right? But PayPal does offer credit. Capital One, I put Capital One here because they're like my A1 from day one. When I had a 500 credit score, I applied for a Capital One card and they gave me one, and I still have it. I will not let it go because I'm loyal like that. And also special financing. So if you haven't heard of Upstart, I think does business like loans for small businesses, funding for small businesses. You've got Cabbage, Funding Hero, nav.com is also one that does small business funding. So think about that for your ideal client as well. It might not be business style or type funding, but think about some of these places where they could potentially get some funds. Number 4, things they can sell around the house. I put this as a level difficulty 4 because, you got to think about where is the stuff, what is it? You got to find a buyer, put it on Facebook Marketplace, go back and forth with people, leaving comments, things like that. Someone who owes them money, like, hey, remember that money I let you borrow? I need it back. And then maybe someone willing to invest in their future. I have had clients who are like, my mom is actually doing this for me. I had one client who was like, my dad decided to give me the money for this. So, think about that also. You're basically, all you're doing is you're helping them get resourceful if it really is the money. If the objection is not the money, but that's what they're saying, it means that you're not quite as good at sales as you thought you were. And then we can talk about that, another story for another day. And then finally, Kickstarter or GoFundMe. I put that as a level 5 because that's like, well, you gotta get people to fund you. The money comes in and like drizzles, things like that. Okay. Now I put here, is this ethical? Because I already know that I'm going to have someone that's like, well, if they say they can't afford it, is it really up to me? Like, can I really do this? Like, tell them how they can get the money. And the first thing I want to say is that none of this works if you don't believe in your offer, or that you truly have the transformation that this specific client needs. Once again, if you know that you can actually help this client, then you're doing them a disservice if you don't help them think of these things. All you're doing is helping them think of it. You're not signing any paperwork for them. You're not forcing them. You're not holding a gun to their head. You're telling them, I have a transformation that can help you. You said that it's the money. So I'd like to just help you get resourceful. And you just, get their brain to start thinking. Okay. And once again, it also doesn't work if you don't believe in getting resourceful yourself. So if you've never had to stretch or reach to make an investment in bettering your health, your finances, your relationship, then you're not going to be able to pull the client over the hump because you actually don't believe in it yourself. Okay. And your level of belief will absolutely impact theirs. All right. And now we're going to talk about pricing because I know what people are going to get tripped up on. So we'll go to that. And let's go to our comments to make sure that we're caught up. Yolanda says yes to a live workshop. Yeah, we'll bring that up soon. What's going on? Zan the man is here. Nina says great info as always. Thank you. Yes, I'm glad this is valuable for you. And transformation is everything. Tashina says, me too, Capital One. Yeah, Capital One is like, they're the A1 from day one. Awesome, good. All right, live event coming soon. Now loading. I think I'm just most excited about a live event because I feel like I'll be able to like get on stage and dance in front of an audience. So you should expect that that's going to happen. I'll get y'all dancing too, but I do like dancing. All right. So let's talk about pricing. All right. Before I come to this, what do we got? Okay. About 10 minutes. Pricing for your high ticket offer. Generally, when clients ask, what should I price my high ticket offer? My very first response is, what is the price that came to you first? Your high ticket offer essentially will price itself. So what price came to you the very first time, when you wrote out your offer, you described it, generally there's a price that comes to your mind. If your price is under $3,000, I'm typically going to tell you to double the price, especially if I'm working with you and I'm kind of familiar with your money story and there's some things that we're working on, because I want you to get outside of your comfort zone. And then typically what will happen is, clients will settle on a price, and then they'll start doing sales calls and they'll start putting that price out there. And then they'll realize, I actually don't want a client at that price. I really wanted to be here, but I was a little scared. And then they'll change it to the price they want it to be, and then they make sales, which is always interesting to see. So when you're pricing, that's how we do it. First price that pops in your head, go with it. Under 3,000, double it. Okay, done. So now you're at around $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 for that entry high ticket offer. And now you're like, okay, well, how can I justify this price? Like, who is going to pay this price? How do I communicate it? How do I become confident in this price? So this is one of my favorite exercises, and it's called What Costs More? And so what I want to share is, what is the true cost for that client for not having your program? All right. In this exercise, you're going to name 3 related things that are more expensive than your offer. The 3 reasons your offer is more expansive and expansive. Okay. So when we think about the 3 things that are more expensive, an example could be a cruise around the world, which I have no idea how much those are, but I'm assuming that you can probably cruise around the world for like 1,000, 12,000, something like that, especially if you're on Norwegian or like one of the nicer cruise lines. And so the next thing we need to do is we need to relate why a $12,000 cruise with Norwegian is not as expansive as your offer. And so the way that we connect these two is we say, you could, instead of spending $12,000 from my offer, you could take a cruise around the world with Norwegian. Or instead of spending $5,000 on my offer, you could take a $12,000 cruise with Norwegian. However, the reason that my offer is more expansive is because, or the reason my offer is more expansive is because once you have let's assume it's a health and wellness offer. Once you're in the best body of your life, you're going to enjoy that cruise even more when you do get to go on it, or when you do choose to go on it, because you're going to love the way you feel in your body. Okay. And that's how we relate what's more expensive with what's more expansive. Okay. I didn't feel like I didn't explain this really well the last time we did this. So I want to make sure you understand that we're not just throwing out high prices of things without relating it to our offer. Okay. And relating it to why our offer is more expansive. So you don't want to just say, you could spend $30,000 on a degree, but you should get my offer because it allows you to, cook good food. Like, that's not what we're doing. We want to compare it. So I would use, personally, I could use the $30,000 degree, which I don't think you can get a degree for $30,000. I'm thinking about it. I spent like $60,000 on mine. You could get a degree for $60,000, or you could learn how to create a stream of income that will pay you $60,000 year in, year out, month in, month out, whatever it is. So you want to make sure you're comparing the two. Okay. And then the final thing is, okay, are we good? Were we having tech issues? Okay. All right. Good. This is all recorded as well. So I didn't get any notifications that my internet quality went down or anything. So hopefully the recording is still good on my side. And then anything that happens, you guys just rewind it for the replay. Okay. We'll keep the replay up for a couple hours. The final thing you want to do is include the ripple effects. So the ripple effects, sorry, I'm reading the comments. The ripple effects are, now that they have your offer, how are other areas of their life affected? What are the ripple effects of having your offer? So now that they've chosen to invest in your offer, whether they have gone through the program or not, like even just making that investment, like what are the ripple effects? Generally, it's something like, they show up more confident where they are because, they finally chosen to invest in themselves. Like what does that look like? And then you can also do it for once they have the transformation of your offer, how does it affect the rest of their life? What are the ripple effects? All right. So that is it as far as the worksheets for today. Your homework or your task, let me find it. Your homework for today, here it is to name 3 things more expensive than your offer, and also why your offer is more expansive. Okay, so it's the going to do the same homework. So basically this page. So I want you to do thing number 1 that's more expensive, and my offer is more expansive because. Thing number 2 that's more expensive, and my offer is more expensive because. Thing number 3 that's more expensive, and my offer is more expansive because. So you'll have essentially 3 sentences there. That's your homework. To invest in training for internet marketing 8 years ago. Yep. And it's so much more valuable to you because you have those skills, and now you've had those skills for 8 years versus Alexis, where like it looks good, but wouldn't it feel so much better to be able to drive that as a result of what you've been able to create in your life? I know that one thing that I want to purchase for myself is a Tesla. And I've been holding off on it. Like I can get a Tesla if I want. I can get a car payment. Like that's not what I want to do. I want to be able to go in like cash, like bam, right on the table. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. And I want to create it as a result of my business. And so that's just one of the things that I've got on my list. I'll be saying, hey, Cami Cakes, love that. Yeah, Nancy says this was eye-opening for me when I did this last year. Yeah, I think what this also does, like when you do this exercise, it solidifies you in your price, and sometimes it helps you see that you probably need to increase your rate. Okay. This is the one I was laughing at. You're like, you spent 30K through an accelerated program. Absolutely. Okay, good. Tech issues are all good. And she says, yes, and I have a new Lexus too. Amen. Amen to that. Love it. All right, good. Well, thank you so much for joining me for today's session. If you have any questions or anything else that you'd like to include, please let me know. Leave a comment below. I will leave this live stream up for the duration of the challenge as well. So I won't put it in the member area the way that I normally do, but we're going to take it down when the rest of the challenge live streams go away. So if you need to catch up on any of the challenge, we do have a playlist, the Create Your High Ticket Offer playlist. I think it's a hidden playlist, but it might be available. But if you go to my channel, subscribe, you'll be able to see, probably be able to see the playlist. And then you can go to and watch and catch up on each of the videos. Generally, they're like 20, 30 minutes long once you get through my talking at the beginning. But obviously on Saturday, I like to spend a little bit more time with you guys. So we'll, like I said, we'll keep this one up. Tomorrow, we're going to be going into, I would love tomorrow's session. We're going to be going into pitching your offer. So how do you position it? So clients are like, I already know I'm going in for that bag and I'm not leaving without that bag. And how do we make your offer that bag, right? And so we'll be talking about that. I'm going to help you guys figure out how to pitch your offer. You're going to start pitching it. And on day 7, we're going to close everything out with walking through the 4-step client gaining system that allows you to consistently sell your high ticket offer. I'll be sharing a little bit more about that and the Path to 6 Figures, which is our signature program, sharing with you how to create systems that help your coaching business run like a well-oiled machine so you can work on the things you enjoy, which is actually coaching clients instead of like, I got to chase down clients, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Yes. Thank you. I missed one last thing. Money. Yes. And thank you, LB, for answering that. I completely forgot to answer why I called today's session MONEY. Money stands for my own natural energy yield. You receive money, you get to receive money as a result of your energy. We've been talking about this. We talked about when we talked about heal your energy, and then yesterday when we talked about get into it, right? Get into your big energy. The money that flows into your life is flowing in as a result of your energy. So if you're like, my money's low, it's not really going the way I want it to do, it's like back and forth, and you've already, started working on your money story, you got to work on your energy. Okay. You get to receive money as a result of being. You get to receive money because you are you. You get to receive money because you're alive. You don't have to earn money. You don't have to ask for money. You don't have to, do any of these things that we thought we had to do. You get to receive the same way you get to breathe. You get to receive money. The same way there are plenty of leaves on the trees, except for that one because it's winter. The same way there's an abundance of leaves, but they always come back, right? The same way that happens, you get to receive money. Okay. Money is simply a tool. It doesn't have any magical properties in and of itself. We have decided as a society that money has value. But I guarantee you, if society breaks down and all we need is food, no one's going to care that I have this little piece of money. I think this is a peso. It's like 10 pesos, I think. You can get these breakfast buns in Mexico. So good. You get like 3 or 4 buns with that. Keeping that, but you got to go to a corner store and not in the tourist area, a little bit on the outskirts. Anyways, so that's what money stands for. Okay. So if you were not aware before, or if you forgot, that is what it is. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Glad that you enjoyed it. Yes. Thank you. My Own Natural Energy Yield. Can you give us the website again, please? Yes. So go to LaTisha, and it's in the description also, /challenge. Okay. Go to LaTisha.tv/challenge in order to register for the challenge. In a couple of hours, I'll send you the workbook. It's going to go out automatically, but you'll get it. It'll come from me. I'll be on the couch, actually, probably, or playing Beat Saber. That's what I've been playing lately. All right. Good. Exactly. What's most important is your life and your health and your strength. Abundance is your birthright. Thank you, Cammie. All right. I will see you guys next Saturday. Yes, I will be here. I'm not going out of town or anything like that. Thank you so much for joining me today. In the meantime, remember that your dreams deserve your decision and you deserve to achieve your dreams, but only if you decide to do whatever it takes to get them. So go, dream, decide, do, and I will see you guys in the next one. Okay. Bye.